everybody, this is Heather from Ventura Wild, and I am going to do a little video talk here about taking your family out on a adventure, exploring nature a little bit, going on a hike, doing some discovery, and we'll talk about what do you call a hike when you're going with kids. I'll mention a little bit about different ages that you might be working with, and we'll talk a little about what to bring, what to do on this kind of hike, and then what to do at the end too. So let me get started. After I let you know that I really miss everybody, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you're getting outside a little bit, and I know this is very weird and challenging for all of us, and it's really nice to get to connect even in this virtual way. And I hope that you email me your ideas and reflections on getting out with your family and share with me, because I'm sitting around just going out by myself with my family and wanting to know how you guys are doing. So on that note, a couple things I want to include on this talk is that before you go anywhere, you should check where you're going, whether it's open or not. You definitely need to check the rules, if you're allowed to bring dogs, if you're staying on the trails, all of those kinds of things. How busy is it going to be? Can you maintain social distancing? Get a feel for that. And then something that everybody should do when you go someplace out in nature is you should tell somebody who's not going where you're headed, just in case. So those are really important things before you get going. And then what to bring. Make sure you check the weather. Know if you're going to need sunscreen or a poncho. Know a little bit about the elevation. If it's I know where we are in Ojai and Ventura, it can be sunny, but then if you go up to Rose Valley Falls, it can be snowing. So make sure that you check what the weather is like there and bring layers of clothes. So you might want to have a t-shirt underneath, a long sleeve sweater underneath, a warm jacket, and then your rain gear in your backpack. You might want to have long pants, but that can roll up. You want to have shoes that are appropriate for your walk, that are comfortable, and that you know are going to work for the hike that you're on. Are they going to get muddy? Are they going to get wet? And are they still going to be comfortable? So those are some of the things that you would be wearing. Make sure you have a hat and sunscreen too. Maybe a warm hat too in your backpack. Make sure your water bottles are full and have a snack with you. I like to oftentimes bring a little treat of some chocolate or something that I can have at the top or at the end. It can be a really nice thing with kids too. And then make sure that you have, let's see, oh, one thing I wanted to say is what you shouldn't bring. Try not to bring too much stuff. So stick to the basics. You don't want to have a super heavy, unbalanced backpack. Just bring the essentials. And then also make time in your life for this. Don't bring work with you. The worst thing that you can do is go along the trail talking on the phone, totally disconnected to where you are. It's not safe and it's not fun for your kids or your family or you. So do work somewhere else. Make this nature connection and family time and have fun. I highly recommend it. Super important. Another thing, and this is my personal opinion, don't bring your music. If you have an ear pod, so, because then you're tuned out. You don't know what's going on. You're listening to your music. You might miss something important, and it's distracting. I know some people like to walk with music. Maybe that's a different kind of hike than when you take your family. Another thing I highly recommend is you don't want to bring your speaker so that everybody can hear your music when you're hiking. Again, just a no-no. If you're going into wilderness, you're listening to the breeze, the birds, the water, the silence. Allow yourself a little space, please. Bring your music to a park picnic or something else, or your backyard. but not out into the wilderness. A request. And yeah, don't be too strong on your goals. If you have a bunch of big goals for this, that you're going to make it to the top of the mountain, that you're going to make it to the waterfall, you're going to go 20 miles and, you know, walk this many steps on your gadget or whatever, let that go for your family hike. Because who knows what will come up that makes it much more magical and interesting than just getting somewhere and then getting home. So relax a little bit on the goals that you would normally have on a hike with grown-ups. So the next part is, who are you hiking with? If you have a bunch of little kids, you might not call it a hike at all. You might call it an adventure or a treasure hunt, or you're going exploring. Those are enticing and interesting things. Hiking with your parents for 5 miles, not being able to stop uphill, is not fun for a little kid. So have that in your mind and how you talk to your kids about this experience. If you have teens, you might have a goal in mind that you are going to a certain place, to a destination for a specific reason. And also give them the opportunity to have some space from the grown-ups. We'll meet you at the top. We'll meet you at the creek crossing. Ways that you still feel comfortable, but that give them a little autonomy and independence as well. Or maybe when you get somewhere, that they can wander a little bit for a while, knowing that they need to come back to you at a certain time. Those are important things to discern, what age that you're with. Before we get hiking, a lot of times I will make some basic agreements with my family. If you hear the coyote call that I do, you need to come back. Or maybe it's, you need to stay where I can see you at all times. Or maybe it's just, we're hiking as a group. We're not wandering off or doing our own thing. We are sticking together. Or it might be that you're calling your teens on the cell phone at a certain point. If you have cell service, make sure you do. And saying, where are you, and wait for me, or you know, I'm at the top waiting for you. You know, having meeting places and that kind of thing. But if the phones are not something you want to bring into it, then just having some clear agreements. We'll meet at every creek crossing. We'll meet at every trail split. Those are really important places sometimes to meet and make sure you're going the same place. Yeah, so then we're going hiking. We're on this hike. There are some tips that I have for you. And some of it is just, when you're with kids, you're modeling being engaged, being inspired, noticing things, redirecting conversations if they get negative and whiny. Sometimes when kids start saying, how much farther, where are we going? You know, I might do a little trick where we start at the feet and we end at the head. We get to our destination at the head, and right now we're at the belly button. We're halfway. Or right now we're at the shoulder. We're almost there. That gives it some real way that they can understand the distance. Like saying it's 3 more miles doesn't mean anything to a 6-year-old, right? So giving them some clear information is nice sometimes. And also just redirecting their attention. Oh, look at these flowers. Look at, oh, let's see if we can find another one of this kind of flower. What is that bug? What is it doing? You know, so just getting them to notice things along the way so that they don't notice that their feet hurt or that it's hot or whatever. So those can be good tricks. You can also sing songs or tell stories or have them tell you a story or sing you a song. Or just collections. Sometimes it's with a camera that you're taking pictures as you go. Other things, it might be that you're collecting sticks a certain size or leaves from the ground. Be really careful about collecting things that are alive in nature. You don't want to collect anything that's a living creature. You also don't want to collect too many flowers, especially when collecting isn't allowed at all at some preserves and parks. But some places you can collect a little bit, but I always tell kids, make sure there's a whole bunch of it out here for the bees and the lizards and the bunnies, and maybe we'll just take one. So they understand that if you explain that there's a reason that we don't take everything, and that kind of thing. So just not being in a hurry, important. And then maybe when you get to the creek, you share that little piece of chocolate or whatever it is that is a treasure or a treat for your family. And then finally I'll continue a little bit about leaving no trace. Obviously you want to make really sure that you don't forget things where you stop or drop things, trash, and that can easily just fall out of backpacks or pockets. So be careful that you're being respectful. If kids are climbing or beating on plants, remind them that this is a home for all kinds of awesome creatures and that they need plants to be healthy, and for us not to take everything or break everything. And tree climbing obviously has rules around when you climb something, you make sure that you're going to be safe and the tree's going to be safe. And let's see, staying on trails. Again, some places have really strict rules about this. Other places you can go down the creek bottom or explore a little bit, but be cognizant of what you're walking on and is it going to do damage. So we have a responsibility to take care of these places, each and every one of us. And then finally, when you get home or when you're driving home, how do you reflect on the experience that you had? Maybe you are just talking about your favorite moments. Maybe you're sharing the things that you discovered on the scavenger hunt and the cool things that you want to look up when you get home. Maybe the kids are keeping journal of all the things that they discovered, or just drawing a picture, making a map, all of that. And the kids can have a lot of fun learning from their experience, and you don't want to go too far with it either. So knowing your kids and what's interesting to them, what would be fun, letting them have ideas about it, and then that leaves them wanting more. So you want them to want to go on the next hike and not feel like, oh, that became this huge assignment, and expectations that kind of ruin the whole thing. So be careful of your expectations. Make sure that you have an element of enjoyment and of natural exposure to just the beauty and diversity of life out in nature, and those learning things will rise over time. And the curiosity and interest is maybe the most important thing you can give your kids. So have fun, get out there and explore, and tell me a little bit about your experiences, however you want to. I can't wait to hear from you. I miss you all, but we're gonna have so much fun out there exploring nature. So have a good time. Bye.